Hi, I'm Tristan, and I'm going to be talking about my experience with writing our introduction speeches this week. For me, I'd say it went quite well. I find myself enjoying topics like this where it's personal and something that's very intriguing to me versus things I don't enjoy, such as our Martin Luther King and JFK speech. It just wasn't personal to me. It wasn't something that intrigued me or gave me creativity. So I found myself really struggling with that. So this week was very nice to talk about myself because I love yapping. And I felt like I was allowed to kind of show a side of me that maybe a lot of people don't know, that I'm a little horse girl. However, at the college, obviously, people know because I'm always decked out in my farm clothes. But normally, most people don't know that about me. And so, yeah. I find that a lot of people display a different image of themselves in the public versus sort of in their private life. I think that's something that's very common, and it's talked about in this chapter quite a bit, in chapter 3. So I'm currently at my dad's house, and he's big into golfing, and so the whole house has all these golf memorabilia and weird stuff all over the house. And we're currently watching the Ryder Cup, which is like the US versus like British teams competing in golf. I don't really know. So I thought it was funny that the chapter mentioned Tiger Woods and how his private life was completely different to his public life as a very famous golfer. And yeah, and I think a lot of people, when they found out that he was drinking and drugs and into prostitutes and cheating on his wife and all this stuff, I think it caught a lot of people by surprise because he did a very good job to the public of being this prim and proper man who was focused on his career and seemed very like clean cut, good guy, when he was more of a party boy behind closed doors. And a lot of people are gonna say this is probably deceiving behavior. However, I'd say this behavior is quite professional and it's what has to be done in order to maintain a very good public image. And I'd say a lot of people do this whether they realize it or not. We often put our most professional self in public because, like the chapter says, perception is everything. And as humans, it's in our nature to quickly judge people based on how they appear in public. And we look at people very quickly and usually make a determine if they're safe or not. And so if you're looking kind of crazy, people are probably not going to trust you and be a little worried about you. For me personally, I'd say I have two very distinct styles, and generally most people only know me for one side. Depending on whether we're in the farm industry together, they're only going to see me in my farm clothes. I feel bad for those people. They probably think I'm just sad. And then there's the people that see me outside of that when I wear my dresses and I wear my hair done and I wear makeup and jewelry, and I just look very more professional when I dress like that, and I usually speak as little of an accent as possible versus when I'm on the farm and I'm mad and I'm talking really quick and I've got like this southern accent just rolling out. And for farming, people probably don't care. I probably sound like I know what I'm doing when I'm farming. However, if I talk like that and dress in my cowboy boots and my jeans with my big old belt buckle and I've got my cowboy hat on out in public, I probably don't seem very professional. I probably seem very like kind of rednecky, and that's just not the look that I want to give to most people out in the public. And so I have to kind of separate these lives and know when to dress in a certain manner depending on when I'm going to. If I'm going to the farm, I'm gonna be in my cowboy stuff. If I'm out in public, shopping or doing interviews or going to like fancy things, I'm gonna dress nicer for it and I'm going to act probably more proper. And that's just a part of life, is making sure that you kind of fit the bill for what you're doing. And I know that's kind of like annoying and to some it's deceiving, but I just think it's a part of being professional, is knowing to match the environment that you're going into and being around the people in that environment and making sure that you are acting in a way that is meeting the expectations for that environment. But yeah.